experience once every year. There's something magical, almost mystical about the Citadel City of Namur, but for the pure fan, this is the place equivalent to the Monaco of Formula One, or the Wimbledon of tennis. This is the heart and the soul of motocross, of a sport that has for many years enraptured the imagination of millions from around the world. Namur has its own magic, dating back over the centuries when knights jousted for the favour of the ladies of the realm here in the Citadel Arena. But for this day, the kings and knights of the two-world sport come to do battle for just one purpose. That is to become the #1 nation in the world of the sport they love so much. We are here to see the best of the best. This is the Motocross of Nations, the World Cup of the sport called motocross. Teams come from around the world to compete in the Nations Cup every year. Each team has 3 riders who race in different classes against each other. The first day, all but the top 3 teams from last year and the host nation race to qualify. 14 teams go through to the main 3 races on the Sunday, plus 4 from a last chance race on Sunday morning. Host nations for this year here in Namur is Belgium, tipped hot favourites to take the cup. There is one noticeable absentee this year, last year's champions America. Their team manager explains why.
You know, I try to convince my riders to still come, and that the best thing would be not to give in, you know, to what the terrorists basically want. Of course, it's because what happened in New York last on the 11th, and I think if this thing had happened a week earlier or a week later, probably the team would be here. But the timing was just wrong for us.
Well, the Americans now absent, the Italians stand an even better chance of maybe lifting the crown. Or will it go to the host nation here in Belgium? France also strong contenders, but Everts, the newly crowned world champion, would love to take this one to finish the season in style. We start the qualifying action with the 125 class. Some of the best 8th-leader riders from around the globe, all looking to place a low score from this race. The winner of each race will score only 1 point, second will score 2, and third will score 3 points, and so on down to last place. Our onboard camera here with New Zealander, Daryl Hurley. He finished 7th. It was the number 40, the Portuguese rider, Gonzalez, who led them around the first corner. But for some, the first qualifying race would not go well. Number 31 here, the Irish entry, Richard McCowan, who fell. He would finish in 20th. Frenchman number 52, Luigi Seguy, wasted no time in establishing an early lead. He had been added to the team after some convincing GP results, and he was full of confidence here in front of the French fans.
Oh, yeah, it's good result because it's good starting now. Maybe tomorrow is better. It's same result, same today. Is okay.
It was now time for the 250cc qualifying race. Number 53, Frenchman David Vuillemin had returned from the US in time to ride for his country. And with a 1 point score after the 125 race, he will be looking for a good result to help his team for a better gate position on Sunday's race. And with 2 teams already through to the Nations Cup, the lowest point scoring team from the qualifying heats would go to the start third. Crucial here for the first corner. It was the number 11 bike of the British rider Colin Dugmore that led the rest of the pack. But at the end of lap 1, the Aussie Chad Reed had pushed his way to the front. His recent form in GPs also suggested that he would be a tough rider to pass in the main races for Sunday's Nation Cup.
We've put a lot of effort in this year, and all 3 riders, I think, are on top of their game, and we're all riding at the very best we probably can. So I think this weekend we have a very good chance of a podium finish. So that's what all 3 of us are aiming for, and hopefully by the end of it we can.
The last qualifying race involved the open class, mainly bikes of 500cc and over. Number 36, Spanish rider Garcia Vigo, needed to make a good start because his team riders in the 125 and 250 races had not finished well. Our onboard camera here with the number 36 rider Vigo, who, as you can see, did not get the best of starts. But out of the first set of corners, it was the Swedish entry Johnny Lind on the number 50 Husqvarna who led. In hot pursuit, New Zealand, and number 57, Shane King. Lind, who had improved his GP results finishing on the podium once this year, kept up a relentless pace to stay out front and win the heat. But with the lowest set of points after all the qualifying had finished, remembering that all the teams could drop any one of their poorest results, Australian Andrew McFarlane finished 10th, but his teammate Bernard Reed had done a good job to place them top qualifiers.
Yeah, that's quite impressive, you know. I was very happy with the way Chad rode, and also Michael, you know, his first time on this track. We've had a GP already on this track, so Michael rode very well and was very consistent in the lap times also.
Behind every motocross GP, there is a team of dedicated hard workers who make it all possible for this top-class event. This is how it happens. They come from far and wide to support their countries, looking to go home the victors. So as the atmosphere builds here at the famous Citadel circuit here in Namur, Belgium for this 2001 Motocross to Nations, number 9 there. On the line, that's Stephane Everts in the 500, the open class. Now remember, this is a mixed open class and 125. The start is off. This is the Nations 2001 underway. Who's going to get that all-important first corner? Now remember the rules. It's Stephane Everts that leads it, with the number 15 bike there of Colin Dugmore for South Africa in second place. Now, as I was just about to remind you that the winning rider past the checkered flag, dependent on each class, gets 1 point. The rider that finished second gets 2 points, and third, fourth and fifth, and so on. So it really is a team affair. If the open class rider, say Everts, who leads it now, finishes first, he gets 1 point, but you have to look to see where his counterpart on the 125, Steve Ramon, will finish. And then you add the points together, and that's where they stand at the end of first race. So it's the South African second. Look at this, Brian Jorgensen on the 125. He's down there in 13th for Denmark. Steve Ramon, that's the countryman to the race leader, Stephane Everts, he's down there in 20th. So if they finish like this, that will be 21 points. So it really is a question of both riders having to finish in the highest positions possible to make the big difference as far as going through to winning the Cup. It's the team with the lowest amount of points at the end of 3 races who are declared the champions for this year. But at the moment, the newly crowned 500cc world champion there, Stephane Everts from Belgium, leads this open class part of the race down the very tricky bit at the back of the circuit. We've had quite a lot of heavy rain here over the last couple of days, so the circuit itself is a real test to the riders. Garcia Vico there back in 3rd place for Spain. Now the question is, where is his teammate at the moment? There you are, looking at current nation standings. Belgium and Spain sharing 19 points, Australia on 28, Finland, Sweden and South Africa with 30 points. Again, this is the combined points as the race is as we see it now. So things could change dramatically during the next few laps. And then you've got France, Great Britain are down there in 8th, Germany, Czech Republic, Portugal and Ireland there with Gordon Crockard in 12th position, 47 points. So it's early, far too early to start predicting who's going to win this year. But there is Vico, a man that has struggled so hard to get where he is today. Started his racing career by borrowing 10,000 pesetas from a friend to buy his first bike. He really is a lion of Spain, and I predict he will become a future world open class champion. But things might change in 2003. We'll have to wait and see. So Vico, 3rd in the race at the moment. Where's his teammate? That's the question. He could be much further down. That's Aaron Bernardes on the 125. So Vico it is at the moment that flies the flag for Spain. Stephane Everts flying the flag here for the host nation in Namur in Belgium. Stephane Everts. He also has Jöel Smets on the 250 to support him. Steve Ramon on the 125, who is in this race, number 7 on the Kawasaki. But at the moment, Everts, oh, he's put a storming pace in now. He's right away with this. But despite, even if he wins this, that's 1 point. If he wins, as I keep saying to you, you have to look at where the second part of the team finishes. Everts from Dugmore. Colin Dugmore really has come alight in the latter part of the season. Garcia, Johnny Lind, Bernd Eckenbach for Germany, Miska Oltonen in 6th place. So there is Johnny Lind from Sweden. So Everts still has it, and Dugmore under pressure now from Garcia Vico. Shane King for New Zealand back in 7th. Then it's McFarlane from Australia, Kurt Nickel in 9th for Great Britain. Yves Demaria for France in 10th. Looking further down, Brian Jorgensen there for Denmark. He's on a 125. There is Steve Ramon. He's down in 16th place. So if they finish like this now, that would be 17 points for Belgium. Presumably they do. We'll have to wait and see. There's the German rider, Eckenbach. But here is Everts. Belgium stand at the moment number 1, 17 points. Everts with 1, Steve Ramon with 16. Combined tally together puts them in that position. So Everts, the home crowd here, as you can see, going absolutely electric. And there's his teammate, Steve Ramon, the young man that will change bikes for next year. He'll be on the old orange KTM. And there's the team manager, the famous and legendary Jöel Robert, himself a Donations winner many times for Belgium back in the past. But he has witnessed this young man's resurgence after 2 years of injuries. Stephane Everts, what can you say about this young man that hasn't been said before? From a racing family, his father, Harry Everts, also a 4-times Grand Prix winner. Here he is over the big double jump here in front of our cross club. All the VIPs will certainly be enjoying the action from their luxury surroundings inside there. But Stephane Everts for Belgium sets the motocross to nations alight. There is Dugmore, and now his teammate, young Gareth Swanepoel, down in 30th place. So that puts South Africa 8th in the standings at the moment. Vico still unable to get past Dugmore, but I think behind him that's Johnny Lind. Indeed it is. The Swedish rider on the 50 bike sitting back behind these two, so we could see a points change before much longer. It's 2nd in the standings for Spain at the moment. There's Vico on 3 points, and Bernardes back there in 19th place. So we can't say this too many times. It really is about 2 riders in each race. This is the open and 125 class. So you've got the big 4 strokes thundering around the track. There is Ryan Hunt from the South African team. Ryan, you'll remember, raced a lot in the UK, did GPs. Comes over occasionally to ride the Donations and the odd event in Great Britain. But look at this for scrap. He's watching his teammate here, Colin Dugmore. Coming out onto the track next will be Ryan Hunt, along with the 125 boys. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. But Dugmore at the moment really has got his head down. He'll be staying with the Millennium KTM for 2002, and I predict this boy is going to finish much higher in the standings than he has this year. So may this man, Johnny Lind from Sweden, on the big Husqvarna. There he is, powering his way through, 60 on his back. Chasing Vico. Now who is that back behind Vico? That looks like Bernd Eckenbach from Germany. Sweden 3rd at the moment. Peter Johansson down in 25th place on the 125. And Peter, I think, just a tad bit big for that bike. 9th place for Germany. There's Eckenbach. Castinger, Anders Castinger down in 28th. So combine the 2 points together, that's how you get their position. So standings at the moment. Everts leads it from Dugmore from Vico. Johnny Lind, Eckenbach and Miska Oltonen, 6th place, 22 seconds behind the leader, Stephane Everts. So it really is a question of what the 125 boys can do. Shane King in 7th, Kurt Nickel up to 8th, Demaria up to 9th, McFarlane 10th, Crockard in 11th and Vuillemin in 12th position. So Vico with Lind still there, Belgium still lead it, 15 points now from Spain and France. Sweden on 29, just 1 point behind France. Great Britain 1 point behind Sweden. Then Finland jointly there, 30 points with Great Britain. So we really are seeing some changes. Australia, not a good result for them at the moment, 31 points. South Africa, Germany, New Zealand, Czech Republic and Portugal, all in close touch with each other. So this is race 1, race 2 and 3 still to go. France 3rd at the moment with Demaria in 9th, Luigi Seguy in 17th, and there's no reason to believe Seguy won't get a little bit higher than that. He's not had the best of starts. Here he is, absolutely clawing that bike from corner to corner. The young Frenchman, a real joker in the paddock with a 52 on his back for destinations. More used to seeing him with number 4. He has ridden a great... Oh, and down goes... That's Gordon Crockard. And he's clashed with the Finnish rider, Miska Aaltonen. And Aaltonen looks injured. He's walked off the track. Gordon's going to have to pick up the bike. That's a 500 that Crockard is riding for Ireland. He only got the bike yesterday. It's similar to what Yogi Carlson normally rides with the RWJ squad in the UK, but he's having to straighten the clutch lever up. So Crockard, the hard charger on the CAS Honda there, changing the KTM for next year. But here's the race leader, Belgium's Stephane Everts, the World 500cc champion for this year and next year, of course. He won it this year, so that makes him 2002 champion. Look at the crowd around the circuit here. There isn't a space beside that fence. Namur, it's magical, it's mystical, it's where everybody wants to come. This is the World Cup of motocross, and this is the man all the Belgian fans have come to see. Stephane Everts and Jöel Smets and Steve Ramon, hoping that they'll take the Nations Cup home for Belgium after this day. Looking on there, that's Smets. He'll be out on the 250 next. Oh, Seguy at the moment looks like he's picked up a bit of track tape. He's 15. So the battle is still on at the moment between the Vico, the Spanish rider, number 36 there, and Colin Dugmore in front. And that is Vico's teammate Bernadez on the 125. He's got some kind of problem. Well, this is not going to do their point scoring situation any good whatsoever. There's Gordon Crockard. He's picked it back up again. That looks like Luigi Seguy. It is the Frenchman on the 125 there, right behind the Irishman on the 500 water-cooled two-stroke Honda. We won't be seeing too many of these in the future because Honda have now released their new 450 bike. Look at Crockard, confident mood there. So Crockard 14th, Seguy in 15. But you'll see there, lap 7, the French team are looking on, see how their man are shaping up. Current standings at the moment, it's still Belgium, 12 points with the combination from France and Sweden. So we're seeing some changes. Great Britain have moved up to 4th with Germany 5th and South Africa. They're in 6th place. So Garcia Vico, Johnny Lynn there still behind him. New Zealand are 7th now, Portugal 8th, and Spain have dropped down to 9th, and down has gone somebody, and that's the Spanish rider, Garcia Vico's teammate, Bernadez on the 125. Well, things are not going too well for these boys at the moment, but at least he's still running, that's the main thing. Let's have a look at it again. We can see he's obviously made a mistake down there of some kind, and I'm afraid that's the only way down there when you get off the bike, basically on your backside. Meanwhile, out front, to the delight of the Belgian fans and Jöel Robert and Jöel Smets, it's their man that leads it, Stephane Everts. There he is, number 9. So Belgium looking on course to lead going into the second race, but the battles for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th are not over. 5th, Eckenbach, and there's Demaria for France. He's back there behind Bernd Eckenbach for Germany, so still a lot to do there for those two. And that's the 125 rider, 31 I think that is, Richard McEwen from Ireland. Gordon Crockard's teammate just being lapped. And no surprise here. Demaria, of course, knows his way around this track pretty well. And so does this man. Belgium's Stephane Everts. As he heads up back into the Citadel Arena to take the checkered flag. It is Everts then that wins the first opening race here of the 2001 Motocross de Nation, the World Cup of Motocross. Big wheelie in celebration. There he is, Jöel Robert, team manager, happy with that. So let's have a look at it. Belgium then 11 points, France and Sweden there. Then it's Great Britain, South Africa, New Zealand, Germany and Portugal, 40 points. 2 races to go, all yet to play for. former World 500cc champion on a 250. Look out for France, because we've got Luigi Seguy and the Frenchman who spends most of his time in America, David Vuillemin. We're on board with the Finnish rider, Yves So you see how Yassi gets on. Here they go. Who's going to get out in front with this one? Well, I just spotted the South African rider, Swan and Paul, back there. Not a too good start. Oh, and this is Seguy. Luigi Seguy on the floor for France. He's got away. I don't know what that was all about, but I think he was shouting back to his team manager or something. Probably is to say, it's okay, I can still catch the guys in front. And with the way Luigi Seguy has been riding this year, I would not be at all surprised with that. He really is quick. David Vuillemin, his teammate, but it's Pit Beirer for the German team that leads this, number 29. Beirer hoping to make good. 41 is the man back there in second place at the moment, and that is Joaquin Rodriguez. Then for New Zealand, Josh Coppins. Finland's Vuillemin, Chad Reed there, Carl Nunn. Ryan Hunt in 7th, Jöel Smets down in 8th, Mark de Ruba, Jürgen Carlsen, and there's Vuillemin for France in 11th, Paget in 12th, so Freeberg's there, Sepelak, Zani, Steve Ramon for Belgium down in 16th place, and there is Hurley, Daryl Hurley, and Brian Jorgensen down in 20th at the moment. Oh, that was close there for Smets. Young Tommy Merton for Ireland in 29th place at the moment on the 125, and Stephen Sword not having a good start either, but it's all action at the front. Let's have a look at that again. Smets was very lucky. Oh, the foot was off. He was so lucky not to get an injury there or even to drop the bike, but he's picked himself back up again, and he's behind Carl Nunn for Great Britain, and another dab. So Smets not enjoying himself at the moment. Belgium still have it at the moment with 40 points. France hang on to second, then New Zealand, Great Britain there in 4th, Germany and Sweden. That's the top 6 at the moment, halfway through this second race. And the team, there's the New Zealand team looking on to see what Josh Coppins can do. I can see Reed just gone through number 20. We are looking on 23 there. Yassi Vuillemin carrying our camera for Finland. Reed out there at the moment, 41 Rodriguez. Then Finland's Yassi Vuillemin, who will be staying with the CAS team for 2002 on the 250. He'll be joined, I believe, by Paul Cooper, who rode Yamahas this year. And there is some talk of maybe another rider. So, Ramon, Smets is 16th. So, Belgium still hang on to first position with the lowest amount of points. As we've explained before, each rider scores points according to where he finishes in the race. If you finish first, you score 1 point. If you finish in 40th, you score 40 points. Combine the points together, and that's the tally you carry on to the next race. Beirer at the moment leads it. Reed, the Australian, dogging him down. Rodriguez, Vuillemin, Coppins for New Zealand. Carl Nunn for Great Britain. On the Motor X, Husqvarna there in 6th place. So, 10 seconds behind race leader. David Vuillemin there for France. Mark de Ruba for Holland. Ryan Hunt for South Africa. Sepelak, Steve Ramon for Belgium in 11th. So they're still in a good position, the host nation for the Grand Prix this year. Last time they hosted this here in Namur, it was 1965, and Great Britain were the winners. Belgium was second, and Joël Robert was the team manager. 4 times we've had the donations here in Namur. A look at Ramon. He really is trying very, very hard. He's on the 125, up against the 250s. Not easy here with these kind of bikes. Seguy down in 25th place for France. Looking further down the field, you've got Castinger there back in 31st, but it's all about this now, because we have the German Pit Beirer that leads it. The Pitbull has the Aussie Skippy there behind him in 2nd place. Can he get past the German? Australia, I can't remember if Australia have ever won the motocross nation. I know they haven't, but I can't remember if they've ever actually finished in the top 3. They've got one of the strongest teams ever this year. Jeff Leesk, of course, you remember, rode for Australia some years back. Leesk did the same as this young man did, came to Europe in his first year of Grand Prix racing and finished 2nd. So, the Aussie on real form goes to America next year to race Supercross and outdoor events. See how he'll get on, that's for sure. But just look at Beirer, determined to really hoist his nation up the point standing, or we should say down the point standing really, because it's the small amount of points that get you into a better position. And look at the determination in Skippy's eyes. All he can see is that bike in front, the Skittles Yamaha of the German. And he's got past him. Reed's got past him. Australia go into the lead. 1 point for Reed. It'll be just a question of where Michael Byrne finishes. Oh, and look at Reed, paying absolutely no heed to the slippery conditions down that hill, throwing caution to the wind. This young man is an absolute delight to watch. And Pit Beirer must be thinking, well, I had this race in the bag until the Aussie came past me like a wayward kangaroo. Oh, we've got a problem here. That is Castinger, that's Pit Beirer's teammate. He's got a problem with the bike chain off, I think. Well, that can only do big damage to their chances. 5th place at the moment. The battles are on, Royale, right down through the field at the moment. Of course, the sad thing is that we don't have the Americans here this year, and our commiserations go out to the 3 riders who hope to come here and do their bit. Mike Brown, Kevin Windham, and of course Ricky Carmichael. But of course, from all of us here on the Dorna team, we extend our sympathies to the United States of America on their recent events. But meanwhile, back here in Namur in Belgium, it's motocross to nations time. Steve Ramon, Belgium have it at the moment. Can they win here in Namur, their home to nations? They're the host country in a place so magical and so mystical is Namur. Belgium still have it. France and New Zealand, Great Britain still 4th, Sweden and Germany. So there have been no real changes in the top 6 so far, with the exception of Germany dropping to 6th and Sweden moving up to 5th. So South Africa, Portugal, Spain, Czech Republic, Netherlands, Finland, they're the top 12 at the moment. A lot to do for some of the low. Oh, we've got a problem here. Segui's off again. Luigi Seguy for France has collided with somebody and gone down. Well, and I can tell you now that won't stop him. And the French team throw their arms up in dismay. What is he doing out there? I can tell you one thing, he'll be determined to try and make amends for that. Luigi Seguy is a battler all the way. So David Vuillemin currently on 4 points in 4th. Luigi 27 points in 27th place. France 2nd behind Belgium. So I hope you're beginning to sort of absorb now how it all works and how they score. Remember, at the end of 3 races, it's the team with the lowest amount of points that win the World Cup of Motocross. So Luigi Seguy for France down in 27th place. There is David Vuillemin. Well, Vuillemin on a roll. We don't see too much of this guy around Europe. Spent the last few years racing in America, Supercross outdoors, going past Josh Coppins there, number 56, the New Zealander. So that will put him up into 3rd. That will obviously reduce the deficit they now have. So Vuillemin 3rd. Seguy was back in 27th, but I feel no reason and think no reason that he'll stay there. He will soldier on forward. So Mark de Ruber there. He's in 8th. Willy van Vessel, 35th at the moment. 10th in the standings for the Netherlands. So de Ruber, another young man that is on course to become a top world-class rider. Been on the rostrum twice this year in Grand Prix. Belgium, France and Great Britain have moved up to the 3rd. New Zealand drop into 4th. Sweden are still there. Germany have dropped out of 6th. And up goes Portugal, 72 points. So it's all beginning to change as we suspected it would. There's Gareth Swanenpoel from South Africa, 36 at the moment. Ryan Hunt is his teammate on the number 14 bike out there somewhere in front of him. And let's have a look at the action here. Well, that's very, very tough down there. Oh, 37 there. Gives Swanenpoel a good whack underneath his wheels and pushes the South African off unceremoniously. That was Van Vessel there playing the Dutch Destroyer on the South African, and there's the team looking on. They won't be too impressed with that, I can assure you. But that's motocross. You got to go for it when you've got to go for it. You can't hang around and wait. And here he is, Thomas Traversini, 16th place. His teammate Zani in 26th. That puts Italy 13th in the standings if you combine those 2 points together and add them to the first race total. Carl Nunn in 6th, and his teammate Stephen Sword in 21st. That's Great Britain in 3rd, both on the Motorex Husqvarnas. Their team manager Rob Herring, who himself was part of the winning the nations team back in '94 for Great Britain, will be looking on, seeing what their boys can do. There is Stephen, number 10 on his back. Great Britain finishing 4th last year, just pipped off the podium by Belgium in the last race when Smets passed James Dobb. James Dobb, of course, the new British and world 125 champion, and James not able to race here due to that injury that he picked up in the last couple of Grand Prix. There's Ramon. There is Smets back in 10th place. Belgium still have it. Combined points keep them at the top of the table. So what can Jöel Smets do? An unusual choice here for him to ride the 250, but he took it for an outing in Ireland to give it a go, and he quite liked the bike, so he said, OK, I'll do it. So there is Steve Ramon. That's his teammate out in this one. The 125s and the 250s racing together. 52, Luigi Seguy. There is David Vuillemin, his teammate. Vuillemin third at the moment. Seguy still trying to claw his way back up the table. The team are looking on anxiously to see what their boys can do, but they can't catch this guy. Skippy, the Australian. It's the last lap. Chad Reed is going to take the checkered flag here in race 2. And what a delightful race that will be for the Aussie. Big wheelie to celebrate, so really are celebrating this one. The question now is, where is Michael Byrne, his teammate on the 125? There is Steve Ramon coming through. So Belgium still have it. Stephane Everts there speaking to team manager. And Smets has gone out. Smets on the side of the track. You saw him just momentarily there. The bike has stopped, so that's destroyed Belgium's chances. They're now back in second with 48 points. Let's have a look at the action once again. The open class. The bad news for Australia is Michael Byrne crashed in that second heat and has broken his wrist. So, and Smets didn't finish either. The bike gave up on him for some strange reason, but they've managed to repair it, and he's back in this last race. So it's Andrew McFarlane from Australia then that leads them through. Smets not getting the best of starts at the moment, but there it is, Andrew McFarlane. So where is Stephane Everts? There he is, back in third. Where is Jöel Smets? So you can see how things can change. A machine failure, that 40 points adds on to the title there for Belgium, which is not really going to do them any good whatsoever. I think France may have now moved up into the lead. I'm not sure. We'll wait till we get the official information up on our screen, but I can tell you now, there is Beirer in third place. The German finishing second there in race 2. This is race 3. The big 500s against the 250cc bikes. So at the moment we've got mostly the big bikes in the lead, with the exception of Beirer. He's back there, looks like fourth. So the Aussie leads, and that's Johnny Lind in second place. Everts third, then Beirer is fourth, Rodriguez, and Josh Coppins on the 250 for New Zealand, back there in sixth place. Then it's Dugmore, Sani, Garcia, Vuillemin and couldn for Great Britain, David Vuillemin for France in 12th place. Where is Smets? That's the question we're asking. Let us hope that that machine has not failed again, because that would be a desperate bit of news for the Belgian crowd here. The host nation would really like to take this Donations win. There is some talk of changing the structure, well, how the Donations is run in the future. There is Vuillemin, 53 on the 250, battling hard. There's couldn, number 11, with Vuillemin behind him, and can the British rider keep the French ace there behind him? Well, that would be quite an achievement for Nunny. That's our camera that just received a nice little helpful turn from one of the rear wheels of the bike, but it's still working, I believe. So we've got a great scrap on the front. 56, Josh Coppins, having an inspired ride for New Zealand at the moment. 41 is the man behind him at the moment, and that, of course, is Joachim Rodriguez. McFarlane leads it then. Dugmore down there in 7th for South Africa. Garcia Vico from Spain. Vuillemin from Finland. Demaria for France. Carlsen, Sepelak, Zani, Leok and Freebergs. But it's the Aussie McFarlane then that leads this. He's had a real up and down Grand Prix season. Came into world-class racing this year for the first time. And Jöel Robert at the moment not looking too anxious. current standings, well, Belgium still are there with 31 points. France behind them in 45. Sweden, New Zealand and Great Britain in 5th. Germany down in 6th place. Now, can New Zealand knock Sweden off that 3rd place? Can France take it from Belgium? The race is not over. There's the man Belgium are relying on. Stephane Everts, the current new world champion, we should say. Where's his teammate? Number 8, Jöel Smets, somewhere behind him. Well, great scrap on here. Dugmore with Garcia Vico closing in on him at the moment. That's Yves Vuillemin on the 23 bike. He's got David Vuillemin there on for France on the 53 bike behind him. Is that Smets right behind that little group? Well, let's have a quick look. Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. So, things are changing rapidly, corner to corner here in Namur, a very testing track. This indeed is the heart of world motocross. There's something special in racing at Namur, and I'm sure our American friends would have loved to have been here. I know that Roger de Costa, their team manager, who raced as part of the Belgium team many years ago, would have dearly loved to have his boys here to race in this famous circuit against the best of the rest in the world. Vuillemin. Well, he's racing for France, does most of his riding in the States now. So Vuillemin 10th, Demaria is 11th. So France go up, well, they hang on to 2nd place. I was just about to say they go up into 1st position, but no, they still have 2nd. Belgium hang on to that number 1 slot, and the team anxiously looking on. Vuillemin down the big hill. Some of the riders are doubling down there. Some of them are deciding to go singularly. That is Everts going past McFarlane, so Belgium now leads. Beirer back in 3rd, Josh Coppins there back in 4th. Look at the Belgium fan. Oh, and on the floor, that's Garcia Vico. Yes, indeed, and that's a broken clutch lever for him. That's not going to help, although he's on a 500. On a 125, that would be absolute disaster around here. And we're looking back down the field. Gordon Crocod, 33, just going through there. Oh, well, some of the riders not having the best of race in the last one. I still don't know where Smets is. We're looking back for him. There's the South African, and we've got an Aussie on the floor, and that's Chad Reed. Reed is on the ground. He lost it there in his exuberance to try and get back to the front and win a 2nd race here before he departs to the States. Reedy has thrown it away, so Australia's chances are going down the drain. That was Rob Herring just momentarily there, the British team manager. So Belgium still have it, just by the slender 3 points over France. 9 points behind New Zealand from Sweden, Great Britain there, and Germany in 63 points, 6th place. So, as I said, anything can happen. One rider just needs to fall or have a mechanical breakdown, and the whole outlook of this can change. So this is one of the closest motocross to nations we've had in many years. Last year, you remember, in France at Saint-Jean-d'Angely, America stormed away with it. We were all waiting anxiously for the Americans to come and race here. We knew that it was going to be tough for the guys because they'd never raced here in Namur before. But unfortunately, they weren't unable to come. There's Smets, Jöel Smets. Well, he's quite a way down the field at the moment, but Belgium are still hanging on to it by a slender margin. Smets. Now, where is he in the race? He appears to be slowing. Well, there he is, 24th place. So Belgium now drop into 2nd place. That means France will lead in this last race. Is it going to be France's first ever Motocross to Nations win? Vico in the pits there. They're going to change that clutch lever. Well, bad news for Spain. They were running so well. And Garcia can only sit and wait as the mechanics do their job. He can do no more. Vuillemin 7th, Demaria 9th. France lead at the moment. Anxious faces in the pit area there from the team. David Vuillemin, 53, doing his part for France. Yves Demaria, who won both Grand Prix races here last year, back there in 9th. So Demaria knows his way around this track. Didn't have such a good time this year in the Grand Prix, but he's doing it for his country today. So as they go round 54, there is the man, and Yves Demaria for France. Is he going to be standing on the top step here today with his fellow countrymen Luigi Seguy and David Vuillemin? We'll have to wait and see. The race, I can assure you, is not over yet. Belgium's Stephane Everts can do no more but stay out in front. He cannot do anything else. 4 laps. Everts from Beirer, McFarlane, Coppins, Linden, Vuillemin from Finland. Yves Vuillemin inspired ride here from the youngster today. So Stephane Everts will not be aware of what's happening behind him. There is Vuillemin, Rodriguez, Demaria, Dugmore, Colin in 11th, and Sepilak there down in 12th position. So Britain knocking at the door of 4th place at the moment. Carlson from King from Leop, Crockard for Ireland. Then you look further down, that's Ryan Hunt in 21st place. So as we join the master at work, number 9, Stephane Everts has Pip Beirer, the German, on the 250 there right behind him. Beirer staying with the free time team for next year. Only the news is they'll be running the full factory 250 and 450 Hondas. So that'll be interesting. Motocross just gets more and more exciting, and look at the German. He really is trying to close, and 5th place for Germany at the moment. Beirer's teammate Eckenbach down in 20th place on the KTM. So whatever Beirer does, I don't think he has any chance of getting Germany onto the top 3, but maybe 4th would be good for them. We'll wait and see. But I'm sure England have other ideas about that. Vico back in the race with number 30 there. The man behind him, that is Bernd Eckenbach for Germany. So France now leading from Belgium, from New Zealand, from Sweden, Germany and Great Britain. But look at the point position from 3rd to 5th. Any one of those 3 teams could nick that 3rd step. They look on anxiously. The German team there, the Skittles mechanics. There's Zani for Italy and Kurt Nickel from Great Britain. Now, Kurt Nickel knows his way around this track, probably with his eyes closed. He's raced here many years before, out of retirement to race for Great Britain in this 2001 Denation. And he's showing no signs of being, 35 years of age now. Hasn't raced competitively for 4 years. Colin is 11th. Nickel is in 18th, so Great Britain stand 6th at the moment. They finished 4th last year. Well, can they improve upon that? I don't think they honestly can at the moment, but you never know. As I keep saying, anything can happen. Everts out there in the lead. His teammate, Jöel Smets, way down the field. Belgium down to 2nd place. They so much wanted to win. And for Stephane, I think he would love to have won this Donations for his uncle, who he spoke so passionately about at our last Grand Prix event. 29, the German, Pip Beirer, the Pitbull, doing everything he can to close that gap. But Everts, I think, will just keep him at bay. 2 masters in the art of motocross going head-to-head. But there is Vuillemin, number 53, the Frenchman, David Vuillemin, racing his harder. He probably has been told by his pit board that France now lead. France are going to go to the top step of the podium for the celebration. So, as they battle, there is David Vuillemin 6th. He's Demaria down in 8th. France, number 1 at the moment. What can Jöel Smets do? He needs to fight back if he wants to re-establish Belgium's position on the top of the podium. Josh Coppins there just going through. New Zealand, an absolute inspired ride. If they finish 3rd, it'll be the 2nd time New Zealand have been on the top 3 podium in the Motocross Denation, and these boys have ridden their hearts out. There is Demaria on the Skittles. Yamaha going for gold. The Aussie in front of Johnny Lynn McFarlane. Then it's Yves Everts. Then there the man 53, Frenchman, David Vuillemin. There is Everts once again coming round into the Citadel Arena. So the current standings at the moment: France 35, Belgium 47, New Zealand 50. I think that's confirmed. Sweden, Germany and Great Britain. But what can Great Britain do against the 2 in front? Just a few points separate them. In fact, Great Britain or Germany or Sweden could nick 3rd place from New Zealand. But at the moment, Josh Coppins riding in the Spied race. And there's Smets, Jöel Smets, the 4 times former World 500cc champion. It's not been his day, that's for sure. He will hold his head in his hands afterwards, and he will feel so bad about losing it for Belgium. But they're still on the podium in 2nd place. Well, I'm sure they'd like to have been there on the top. But Smets will feel this for many days to come, and so will that man. Team manager, Joël Robert. He knows what it's like to stand on top of the podium here. Not necessarily in Namur, but in Belgium as Motocross Nations winner. There is Steve Ramon watching to see what will happen. The only chance that they've got is if one of the French riders pulls out of this, either by a mistake on the bike or a machine failure. But at the moment, David Vuillemin 53 being urged on there by a fellow French fan, pushed on to do better, pushed on to go for that. Looks like, oh, and Johnny Lind almost colliding with Yves Everts. And that is the Frenchman Demaria there behind him on the 54 bike, so he does not want to get caught up in this little squabble, because if he goes down, that will put France right out of the reckoning. He's siding his way through here. Demaria just on the outside, he makes a nice clean pass on Lind. And Lind, I think, may have a problem of some kind. He looks to be slowing. And his team there anxiously looking on. And yeah, he's got a problem, pointing to the side of the bike. There may be a clutch, there may be something, but he's definitely slowing. Well, what cruel luck for Johnny Lind after such a great ride. But Demaria now to third, Vuillemin in fifth. France, #1 on the podium. Demaria takes it very cautiously down that very slippery bank there. Yassi Veverlainen with David Vuillemin there, 5th place. So they're scrapping over 4th spot behind Demaria at the moment, but it's not really going to make any difference to the final outcome here of this 2001 Motocross des Nations, the World Cup of the sport, where the best nation in the world get crowned the kings, the best of the best. And there are the boys. Vuillemin on the 250, Demaria on the 500. Jöel Robert, well, I don't know what he actually said then, but maybe it was repeatable. France then, 28 points. Belgium 41, New Zealand, Germany, Great Britain have moved up to 5th. Sweden into 6th. So, in the closing stages of this last race, the 250 open class, positions are beginning to change. They're all scrapping over that precious 4th place, but I think New Zealand have 3rd. And what a great result that'll be for the boys. France #1, it says. There's their level of confidence. But for Belgium and this man, Stephane Everts, it makes no difference. He may win the race. He knows he's won the race. But it's all about where Smets finishes. And I think Belgium are going to have to settle for the 2nd step. And Everts just holds his hand up and says, well, what can I do? I've won the race, I can do no more. Beirer comes home for Germany in 2nd place in the final race of the day. But all his efforts are for nothing. Everts then confirmed from Beirer. 3rd place, we're looking back for him. It should be the victorious Frenchman, Yves Demaria. Here he is, number 54, he knows it. And Vuillemin up to 4th. Vuillemin up to 4th. So France have definitely got this. You can't argue. Coppins there, back into 6th place, and there is Smets. Jöel Smets will shake his head and say, oh well, it could have been ours. The French team celebrate there in front of the world press, and here they are. Luigi Seguy says, yes, I'm sorry about my fall, but we have nothing to complain about. I have given the best of ourselves. Yves rode superb. David also, and I wish I could ride like them. The result is that we won. So the victorious French team here of Luigi Seguy, David Vuillemin and Yves Demaria take the 2001 mxdn Cup. And there they are, New Zealand, Josh Coppins there with the Frenchman in the middle. They've never been there before. This is the first ever time their name will appear on the shields at the side of that famous trophy. Belgium behind them in 2nd place. Well, you can only commiserate with the 3 from Belgium. But France, it's their day. Great Britain, incidentally, came through to finish in 4th place. So they had a good ride, same as last year. So the Frenchmen, well, they're going to be certainly celebrating back in France tonight. There's no doubt about that. There they are, final standings then. France, Belgium, New Zealand, Great Britain, as I say, up to 4th, Germany to 5th, Australia sadly into 6th, Sweden and Portugal